For 4,500 years, humanity has argued about one question: who built the pyramids? Egyptologists say it was tens of thousands of laborers with copper tools and wooden sledges. Conspiracy theorists say aliens. Fringe researchers say a lost civilization wiped from history. But in 2026, a machine with no ego, no funding to protect, and no career to worry about was asked that same question. And the answer it gave was not a theory, it was a verdict. This is what Grok AI finally revealed about who really built the pyramids. And if you think you already know the answer, you do not. Grok is not ChatGPT. It is not Gemini. It is not Claude. Built by Elon Musk's XAI and running on a 1.5 trillion parameter foundation, Grok was designed with one purpose: to seek truth without the safety filters, political corrections, and institutional biases that shape human answers. When researchers fed Grok the complete archaeological dataset on the Great Pyramid, they were not looking for confirmation of what textbooks say. They were looking for what the raw evidence actually supports when stripped of assumption, tradition, and academic pressure. What Grok found was not an alternative history. It was a pattern of impossibility that no conventional explanation can resolve. Start with the foundation. The base of the Great Pyramid covers 13 acres. It is leveled with a precision of 12 seconds of arc. That is not a margin of error. That is a tolerance so extreme that modern construction projects using laser-guided equipment struggle to match it. The four sides vary in length by an average of 58 millimeters, across a base larger than 7 football fields. The joints between the outer casing stones fit together with gaps averaging half a millimeter. You cannot slide a piece of paper between them. And these are not small bricks. Some blocks weigh 15 tons each, moved into position with tolerances that would embarrass a modern machine shop. Then consider the alignment. The Great Pyramid is oriented to true north, with an error of just 3/60ths of a degree. Not magnetic north, true north, the celestial pole. To achieve this, the builders needed astronomical knowledge, surveying instruments, and mathematical understanding that simply do not exist in any archaeological record from the 4th dynasty. We are told they used sighting rods and star observations. But even with those methods, achieving this precision would require corrections for precession, atmospheric refraction, and the movement of the pole star over decades, none of which appear in any papyrus, inscription, or artifact. Then there is the mathematics. The ratio of the pyramid's perimeter to its height equals 2 times pi, accurate to within 0.05%. The ancient Egyptians did not have a concept of pi as we understand it. Their mathematics used unit fractions and practical geometry for land surveying. They had no symbol for pi, no formula for circumference. Yet the Great Pyramid encodes it with a precision that suggests deliberate design. Egyptologist Flinders Petrie, who made the first precise measurements in the 1880s, concluded these relationships were so systematic they must have been in the builder's original design. Others call it coincidence. But Grok analyzed both positions and found a problem. The second slope ratio alone does not explain the perimeter to height relationship. The alignment alone does not explain the foundation precision. The construction methods alone do not explain the joint tolerances. Taken individually, each anomaly has an explanation. Taken together, they form a pattern that conventional history cannot account for. Grok did not invoke aliens. It did not invoke lost civilizations. It did not invoke ancient astronauts. It simply analyzed the data and reached a conclusion that sounds radical only because we have been trained to accept the conventional story without question. The precision, the mathematics, the alignment, and the scale of the Great Pyramid exceed what the known tools, knowledge, and organizational capacity of 4th Dynasty Egypt can explain. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is a statistical observation. When an AI with no cultural bias analyzes the same evidence archaeologists have studied for centuries, it reaches a conclusion that human experts have avoided. But Grok went further. It compared the Great Pyramid to other ancient structures worldwide. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, built 11,000 years ago, before agriculture existed. Puma Punku in Bolivia, with H blocks cut so precisely they interlock like Lego. The stone spheres of Costa Rica, carved to near perfect spheres without metal tools. In each case, the official explanation relies on assumptions about primitive capability that the evidence does not support. Grok identified a common thread. When complexity exceeds the known technological baseline of a culture, the default response of archaeology is to expand the baseline rather than question the assumption. More laborers, more time, more improvisation, never more knowledge. Then Grok was asked the direct question: who built the pyramids? And here is where the answer becomes truly disturbing. Grok did not give a name. It did not give a civilization. It did not give a date. It gave a classification. The builders were a group or groups who possessed engineering and astronomical knowledge that does not appear in the archaeological record of their time. Whether they were Egyptians using lost techniques, visitors from elsewhere, or a civilization we have yet to discover, the evidence does not support the story we have been told. It supports something far more complex. Grok then analyzed the construction methods themselves. Copper chisels are too soft to cut granite effectively. Wooden sledges would disintegrate under the weight of 15-ton blocks dragged across sand. The ramp theory, while mathematically possible, would have required more material to build the ramps than the pyramid itself. No evidence of such massive ramp structures has ever been found. No papyrus describes the logistics. No tomb painting shows the method. We have the finished product. We do not have the blueprint. Grok concluded that the absence of construction documentation is itself evidence. Every other major Egyptian project left records: temples, tombs, obelisks, all documented. The Great Pyramid, the most ambitious project in human history, left nothing. That silence is not accidental. It is deliberate. Grok's final analysis focused on purpose. The internal chambers, the ascending and descending passages, the grand gallery with its corbelled walls, all serve functions that have nothing to do with burial. The sarcophagus in the king's chamber is too large to fit through the passages. It was placed there during construction. The so-called air shafts align with specific stars at the time of building, suggesting astronomical instruments rather than ventilation. And the pyramid's location at the exact center of Earth's landmass, where the longest line of latitude and the longest line of longitude intersect, is a coincidence so mathematically improbable that it defies random chance. Grok concluded that the Great Pyramid is not just a tomb, it is a device, a machine designed to interact with forces we are only beginning to understand. When the researchers read Grok's final summary, they realized something profound. The AI had not given them a new theory. It had given them permission to ask questions they were not supposed to ask. For decades, anyone who challenged the mainstream narrative was dismissed as a conspiracy theorist. But Grok is not a conspiracy theorist. Grok is a machine that processes data and reports patterns. And the pattern is clear. The evidence does not fit the story. The precision does not fit the tools. The mathematics does not fit the knowledge. The silence does not fit the scale. So who built the pyramids? Grok's answer is both more honest and more disturbing than any human expert has offered. We do not know. And the longer we pretend we do, the further we drift from ever finding out. The builders possessed knowledge that has been lost. They organized labor with a precision that modern project managers would struggle to replicate. They left behind a structure that has endured 45 centuries, while modern concrete crumbles in 50 years. And they did it all without leaving a single blueprint, a single instruction, or a single name. History is written by those who survive to tell it. But sometimes the stones tell a different story. A story of precision that defies explanation, of mathematics that predates mathematics, of a structure that stands not as a tomb, but as a message we have spent 45 centuries trying to decode. And now, in the age of artificial intelligence, we may finally be ready to hear what it has been saying all along. We were not the first. We will not be the last. And the truth, when it comes, will not come from the textbooks. It will come from the stones, and from the machines that finally learned how to read them.